Everybody, please welcome back to the program, Thicke.
Hey, George. Good to see you, as always. Good evening and good afternoon. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
How nice.
You well?
Yeah, fun.
This play that you're doing, this musical, is kind of the beginning of reality, isn't it? Queen for a Day?
Yeah, quite interesting. Queen for a Day was a big radio show in the States in the 40s and then became a television show in the 50s. It really was the forerunner of contemporary reality shows, and beyond that, even those makeover shows.
She is Mrs. Clarice Singer. I found you Queen Jerry. Queen for a Day.
That really is the beginning of all of this stuff.
It's the beginning of so many things on television, the beginning of makeovers where you literally pluck somebody out of the audience as they do in Price is Right. Come on down! They would take women out of the audience. They would tell them, the ladies would tell their sob stories, and some were very tragic stories. And what was it? What do you need? What could we do for you? And sometimes be a prosthetic leg. I mean, it was people in need, and the show would be able to provide that. And they gave them all kinds of prizes, beginning of product placement.
It's an amazing career, the one that you've pulled off.
Well, you know, the wonderful thing for me has been the great variety of my career. I've often said if I could have been Rick Mercer or George Stroumboulopoulos or Christopher Plummer or Robin Thicke, I would have been. But instead of me being able to do anything particularly well, I did a bunch of things that were fun and I did them okay. And it gave me a great variety and a chance to basically do something different every day. My career has been different just about every day. And the musical theater is a wonderful opportunity for me and a great fun to do, but that's really what my reward has been. I wrote for a lot of comics on television, Richard Pryor, Flip Wilson, Bill Cosby, and at the same time, if I heard there was an opening on the music staff for a country show, I wrote Glenn Campbell, Mac Davis, Anne Murray. I did all of her specials. And then, so you kind of move around. I wrote Johnny Cash. I wrote all of those shows. So it was a wonderfully varied experience, and that is what the CBC gave me.
Think of the list of people you just named. People that, did you learn from them as to how
I learned from all of them. And
what did you learn from Johnny Cash?
Actually, Johnny Cash, I didn't know what I learned from Johnny Cash until I saw the movie. Yeah. I brought my dad, who's a doctor, down to the studio to see a taping of the show that we were doing. And he was happy to meet Johnny and June. And June said, you know, Dr. Thicke, Johnny's got this terrible toothache. I wonder if you have a painkiller or any kind of medication for him. My dad, being a good guy, came up with it. Later on, we found that they had a painkiller doctor, Dr. Feelgood, in every town.
Nice.
And that became part of Johnny's problem, you know, for many years. So my dad was culpable.
Dad was a pusher.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, this has been a pretty good first day at my new school. Jeez, I sound like James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause.
Ben, what are you doing?
Watching Carol flirt with some guy, and he's not Bobby.
Well, that's none of your what guy?
That was Alan Thicke. So, it's kind of weird to hear Brad Pitt talk about his first day in high school.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt goes on that show.
Well, we had a lot of them pass through our studio because the show was hot, and every young actor, every agent wanted to get their actor on Growing Pains. So we had Brad, we had Matt Perry, we had Jenny Garth and Hilary Swank and Leonardo, of course, a lot of people.
Did you know that Kirk Cameron was going to become the Kirk Cameron he is today? Because you've got into it on Twitter. He's become fundamental faith is fine if that's his faith, Christianity. But could you see something happening?
No, I could never have predicted that he didn't believe in dinosaurs, because he really, you know, creationism goes back for Kirk maybe 6,000 years or so. But I have mixed feelings about it. I don't happen to share Kirk's opinions or feelings about religion or same-sex marriage or a lot of things that he proselytizes about now. But I respect free speech, and I respect that Kirk, and I even saw some of why he would go there. Unless you've been, he was the Justin Bieber of our day. And there's no privacy in that. He really was living a very unusual life for a 15-year-old. Nobody can relate to it unless they've really gone through that. And his way of dealing with it was to internalize a little bit, privatize, pull back, and he found solace in religion. And of all the things that could happen to child actors, God bless them for finding that.
Right.
You know, so many of them have had tragic outcomes, either with drugs, alcohol, weapons, suicides. It's a very tough, unnatural life for a 15-year-old.
All right, anthropology. Who had a better wedding, Kim Kardashian or Wayne Gretzky?
Well, Wayne's was definitely longer lasting. The Kardashian
So that should factor
wedding
in.
was a bit of a blur.
With Queen for a day, which is more important to you, Dairy Queen or Queen Latifah?
I would say Latifah, partly because she's kind of a friend of the family. And in fact, she was at Robin's wedding, which was held at my ranch when he married Paula, and a delightful woman. So I'd have to say, yeah, on a personal basis, Dairy Queen is close second.
Most influential queen in your life, Elizabeth, Freddie Mercury, or the University in Kingston?
I'm going to have to say Freddie Mercury, because he was a guest on Thicke of the Night, which had few sparkling moments. You want to talk about the turd list. That show was a bit of a debacle, but we did have Freddie Mercury on.
Well, you've done a lot of stuff on fatherhood, too. Obviously, not just playing one, but written books about it. What's the best piece of advice your mom ever gave you?
My mom ever gave me? I don't know that I could narrow it down to just one, because my mom was the most wonderful, generous soul and spirit ever. I miss her. She's been gone for a few years now, but just in terms of love and the outpouring of everything, the one greatest thing she ever did for me was surprise me on my 17th birthday out of the blue with something that I never asked or wished for, and looked at and said, what am I going to do with it? It was a guitar. And it was just because she was a music fan. She was always very kind of contemporary that way, keeping up with television, movies, recordings. And she bought me a guitar just because she thought that would be something I'd be interested in. And the reason I learned to play it at University of Western Ontario was it was a period in which if you knew a couple of Gordon Lightfoot songs, the girls would like you. And so I quickly learned a couple of those, and was always grateful to my mom for that.
Which was I bet you that's exactly what she intended when she gave you the guitar, was to be a part of your life in that respect.
Yeah.
It's really good to see you, man. Thanks
Hey,
for coming.
always a pleasure, George.